Hello and welcome to the Cheetah Team Virtual Open House. My name is Samantha Pagano and I am your fifth grader's English Language Arts teacher. I'm going to begin with a brief introduction. I'm going to introduce you to some of the things that are consistent across all of your child's classes, and then you'll have a chance to get to know each of your child's teachers through different segments in this video. To kick it off, we're going to take a moment to chat about the YMS howls. Similar to the importance of reading and writing and math and science and social studies, we realize the opportunity we have to shape all of these young minds into being successful members of our society. So just as academics are important, we also feel that there needs to be a priority placed on these howls or habits of working and learning. Respect, responsibility, and perseverance are considered to be of high importance, and we really value the growth mindset in fifth grade. The first week of school, we spent a lot of time talking about what it looks like, what it sounds like, and what it feels like when students are demonstrating these howls. Students were then divided into houses, kind of like a Harry Potter style. The houses are ruby, sapphire, topaz, and emerald. These houses are small groups where the kids get to work with different members of their class, and they're working on obtaining points for their house. They will change every quarter so that they have an opportunity to work with different people, but over the course of that quarter, they're trying to get as many points as possible. The way to get points is by demonstrating howls, so it's a great way to enforce it in all of their classes. In each class that they go to every day, they can earn 3 points, one for respect, one for responsibility, and one for perseverance. So students are getting immediate feedback. They're having an opportunity to reflect on their behavior and their choices and learn from those. Just with academics, we expect kids to make mistakes. We also know that that's going to happen when it comes to these howls as well. But we want to help guide the kids and show them when a better choice may have been an opportunity to them, or a more appropriate reaction to an event. So those howls are not only discussed in school and emphasized in classes, but you will also see those on your child's report card. So please keep an eye out. Speaking of report cards, with grading, Google Classroom is going to be the tool where you will find the most information about your child's progress with their learning. Whether it's a formative assessment, a formative or summative, whatever it is, all of that feedback is going to be on Google Classroom. At the end of the quarter, all summative assessments will be transferred over to PowerSchool for report cards to get generated. But in the meantime, if you're curious about your students' progress, please feel free to take a look at Google Classroom. When you're doing that, you'll see a number out of 4. So Google Classroom does not allow us to do words as part of the grades, so I'm going to explain the correlation between these numbers and words below. A 4 is considered an exceeds. If a student gets an exceeds, they have gone above and beyond the expectation of what a fifth grader is expected to do. Please note that not all assignments have an opportunity for an exceeds. So we let the kids know if there is an exceeds opportunity or if there's not, and you can always feel free to have them talk to us if they're unsure of it. For example, in ELA, we've been working on capitalization. It's very hard to go above and beyond. We're working on common and proper nouns and capitalizing the beginning of a sentence. So that's an expectation of fifth grade. Some of those assignments don't have an opportunity for exceeds. A meets is that a student is meeting what is expected of them. That's 3 on Google Classroom. They are doing exactly what a fifth grader would be expected to do. If your child gets a progressing, that's considered a 2 on Google Classroom, and it shows that your fifth grader's making progress, but it's not quite there yet. A great way to bump that progressing up to a meets could be meeting with a teacher during TLT or reaching out to a teacher for extra help at another time. We have, like I mentioned before, a really strong emphasis on that growth mindset, and we know that kids aren't going to get things the first time they try. But we do expect them, if they get a progressing, to look at the feedback and resubmit or retry that assignment to get a meets or an exceeds if that was an option. Insufficient evidence, or a 1, shows that the student hasn't quite given us enough evidence to make that judgment. That might happen if we're just missing a lot of work, but those are very rare scenarios. So our grading here is exceeds, meets progressing and insufficient evidence. And we really encourage the kids who do get a progressing on something to meet with us to try to boost that to a meets or an exceeds. Google Classroom is a wonderful tool that we're using to organize all of our daily assignments. Homework, when possible, is also going to be posted there. And Guardian summaries are going to go out on Fridays so that you can see exactly how your student is performing in their classes. If you have any questions about Guardian summaries, please reach out to your child's teacher. We do know that there are going to be times when students have to do learning from home, and we understand the challenge of this year without having the hybrid or virtual classes, that it can seem overwhelming that they're responsible for doing all of this learning on their own at home. Mr. Duranis has been sending out daily emails, and thank you so much to everybody who's been taking the time to look at those. And part of that is the at-home students document. In that document, it is organized by advisory. So if your child is in Mrs. Ridley's advisory, they would scroll to the Ridley page. And all of their teachers are putting in exactly what was done during class and links and notes to everything that they're responsible for doing at home. We know that Google Classroom right now, it's a whole world that can be a little overwhelming. So this is especially helpful for the students and also the parents. It can be printed, turned into a checklist for you to help guide your student through that work. As far as schedules go, we know that this is a monstrous change from Coastal Ridge. So in fifth grade, most of the academic classes, such as their allied arts, which is currently computer science, their math class, their science class, their social studies class, their ELA class, those are all completed before lunch and recess, so before 12 o'clock. They do then have lunch and recess at 12 o'clock, and their afternoon is when the students tend to split up. Those last two classes are called TLT and enrichment. Some students are currently signed up for singing. Some are taking piano. Some are doing ukulele. Others are going to be doing an advanced art audition. We sent home information because the Horizons opportunity is starting up soon. Some students who receive special help or specially designed instruction or literacy workshop, that's also done during this time. Additionally, Mr. Duranis and I, we take RTI groups, which is called Response to Intervention, twice a week. So students needing extra reading support come to me on Mondays and Thursdays. Students needing extra math support go to him on Tuesdays and Fridays. So those last two blocks are a wonderful chance for the kids to experience some new classes, band, singing, all of that, or receive extra help. If your child is not signed up for any of those enrichment classes like piano or band or music, they would have a TLT that's considered a general TLT. So they're placed in a classroom, and that's an opportunity for them to ask a teacher for extra help, to complete a missing assignment, to finish incomplete work, to catch up if they've been absent. So it's a flexible time, which we've also learned is very helpful for the kids so that they don't ever feel like they just can't keep up. We really love having those last two blocks. I hope this helped clarify some of the main pieces of being a fifth grader. In a moment, we're going to break this video up a little bit, and you're going to get an intricate look at each of your fifth graders' classes and teachers and get to know them a little bit better. I hope everybody has a great experience and all of their questions get answered, and I look forward to checking in with you again later in the video. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kelly Ridley, the Cheetah Team science teacher, and I'm just here to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm originally from Connecticut and went to college at Bucknell University in Pennsylvania, majored in education. Then went to grad school at University of New Hampshire, got a bachelor's degree as a literacy specialist. I've been teaching here in York, Maine for 15 years, taught in New Hampshire as well. And I absolutely love this age group, and I love being part of YMS. I love to get outside as much as I can, hike, bike, kayak, run, ski, and my husband and I have two boys, a 15-year-old son named Ryan. He goes to York High School, and our son Tyler is 11. He's in 6th grade here at YMS. We have a dog. She's my best friend. I love running with her. and she's also an amazing swimmer. We have a cat, and we have 2 hermit crabs too. Somehow I got roped into those. But here at the middle school, in our classroom, I'm sure you guys have already heard, we also have a class pet, Sparky. Say hi. He was just enjoying a snack on my hibiscus tree over here. I don't know if you can see. Anyway, so actually, Sparky's tank is a working ecosystem with fungi and microorganisms and decomposers. And of course, he is the apex predator in that situation. So that gets me going on to the next slide, which are the topics we cover in science. In science class this year, I will be offering a large variety of modes for students to learn and engage in their thinking. We will be doing a traditional science notebook where they get to write down and draw and sketch and organize their thoughts and wonderings. Here's an example. They will do a table of contents to keep their notebook organized. Noticing and wondering charts. And illustrations. And we go over that correct models need good labels. Sorry, with the sun in my eyes, it's hard to figure out. You can see. So they'll be doing a variety of work on laptops, research, and in their notebooks. As far as the topics go, right now we're working on understanding how energy starts from the sun, moves down to producers, then up through the food chain. Quarter 2, we will be structure and properties of matter. Quarter 3 will be earth systems. Quarter 4 will be space systems. You'll see a lot of themes throughout this year: vocabulary development. We're going to work on making connections, understanding human impact, and ways we can better the environment. As always, please feel free to reach out to me. I really look forward to the school year and getting to know your son or daughter.
Hello again, everybody. So I am now going to be talking about English language arts. My name is Samantha Pagano, or Mrs. Pagano, and I'm the 5th grade ELA teacher for the Cheetah team. To start off, I wanted to introduce myself and give you a little bit of a background. As far as my education goes, I am originally from Connecticut, and I did attend the University of Connecticut, where I received my Bachelor of Science. I then stayed in Connecticut, went to Quinnipiac University, where I received my Master's in Education. And then most recently, I just finished up a 2-year certificate of advanced graduate studies at University of New England. This is my 9th year of teaching, my 6th year at YMS. My 3 prior years were down in Connecticut teaching 6th grade and 5th grade. This is definitely my favorite age. As you can see, I've focused solely on 5th and 6th grade, and my passion is definitely ELA. So I'm very happy this year that I have the opportunity to focus solely on ELA. For my family and hobbies, my husband, Tom, and I, we are from Connecticut. We met back in 8th grade, so I like to tell the kids that middle school can be a great time to meet your future spouse. Our daughter, Taylor, she's 3. Our 2 dogs, we have a mini Australian Shepherd who's 12 and a German short-haired pointer who's 10. Sadie and Cooper come up in a lot of conversations in class. And we all live up in Kennebunk. For hobbies, anything water-related. I swam. I was a competitive swimmer my whole life, even through college. I love to be on the water. And I also enjoy cooking, although having a 3-year-old help me in the kitchen has become a little bit more difficult lately. I am very much looking forward to being your child's English language arts teacher. On this slide, you can see the 4 major areas that we will be focusing on when they are with me. We'll be learning about grammar, spelling, writing, and reading. For grammar and spelling, there are 3 programs that we'll use for the most part. One of them is called Freckle. You may have actually heard of this one at home. The kids just completed their spelling inventory on Freckle. That's a computer program. It places them at a level based on a pre-assessment, and then the kids advance through levels. So some students might be focusing on vowel sounds. Others are currently learning about Greek and Latin prefixes and roots. So it's a great way to differentiate and teach them where they are. Two other programs that we use, which will be done in person, are Words Their Way and Sitten. As far as grammar goes, I find as a writing teacher, it can be really difficult to tell a student, this isn't a complete sentence. What can we do to fix it? If they don't understand that a complete sentence needs a subject and a predicate. And then to go a little bit deeper, they need to know, well, what's a verb? What is a subject? What is a predicate? So we're going to be building up our grammar throughout the year. We're currently starting with common and proper nouns, and then we'll get to adjectives and verbs and all that good stuff to help them with their writing. With writing, there are 4 major genres: race, narrative, informational, and opinion. The first one we'll be doing is race. It is a format for constructed responses, and they'll see that acronym throughout their entire experience in the middle school. It's a really great way to get them started so they understand the basics, and then it actually transitions really well into expository writing because RNA stands for restate and answer the question. Once we get to essay writing, that can seamlessly become their topic sentence. The C stands for cite evidence. That could be kind of the meat of their body paragraph. And the E stands for explain how your evidence supports your answer. That eventually, when they do expository writing, will become their concluding sentence. So with writing, we're going to start with race. We will then get into expository essays. And lastly, we'll finish up with narrative, which is my personal favorite. As far as reading goes, we're going to begin with a whole class read aloud of a book, and we'll use that to kind of model how to have class discussions and book talks, talk about reading comprehension and different strategies. Then they'll have an opportunity to do book clubs. I like to do differentiated book clubs, so students will be placed in a club with students that read at a similar level, and they'll be able to select a book that appeals to them. And then lastly, there's independent reading. Another reading focus this year will be on fluency. We have a program called Fluency Tutor, which is really great. Students will be assigned a passage. They'll record themselves reading it and then be able to listen back, and I'll be able to give them feedback on whether they are omitting or substituting or adding in words that aren't necessarily there. I also mentioned that on the reading log, having your 5th grader read aloud to you is really, really great. I know sometimes it's hard if you're cooking dinner and they're reading to you, or you're folding laundry, just have them try to read to you. The more that they read aloud, the better their reading skills will become. And it also provides a great way to just talk to your 5th grader, like, oh, why do you think the character did that? Or what do you think might happen next? Another program that we'll use for both fluency, reading comprehension, and I also noted that it's used for spelling, is Freckle. It's a great online platform. It's especially helpful when we don't know if we're in school, out of school, and it allows the students to read small, short passages at their level and practice a reading skill. Lastly, reading at home. I sent home an email about reading logs. I know that this can be an area of frustration for some families, and I do apologize. I mentioned that the reading log I sent home will change. It will evolve. But just as I'm trying to get to know your 5th graders' reading habits, collecting that information and having it be accurate is extremely helpful. So thank you in advance for supporting that at home. I am very excited to have this crew this year. We've got 64 wonderful 5th graders. This is a new team as well. So having the opportunity to solely focus on language arts is just an absolute joy for me, since this is my favorite thing to teach. I hope that our kiddos have been reporting happy things about YMS. And in just a minute, I am going to give you a tour of their classroom so that you can see where they're spending their time with me. All right, I'm going to take you on a brief tour of your 5th graders' ELA classroom. As they enter, you'll notice that there's a table here that we use for conferences and small groups. The desks are grouped, and students in this classroom sit with the houses that they've been assigned to. On this back whiteboard, this is what we call the dashboard. It guides students through what their learning objective is, their agenda, their homework, everything is placed there. We have a read box where I like to place some of the books that I recommend. We haven't yet rolled that out. Head over this way. Another area over here for students to work in small groups. On these bulletins, we've got the house points, which get updated every Friday. We have our Howls board to remind our students that we're trying our best to work on our respect, our responsibility, our perseverance. The whole length of this wall is our classroom library, so students have access to these books with a simple Google form to check them out. This area we call our living room. Lots of flexible seating choices, the bean bags, they can move around, there are pillows for them to choose from, stools, comfortable chairs. This is where we do our whole class meets if we're reading a book together or having a discussion. Over here we have our book recommendation wall. So far 4 students have filled those out for me. If your 5th grader is ever looking for a book, they can check this wall. This is our exemplar wall, so soon some of the exemplar work will be posted here. And then as we are learning about grammar, writing, and reading, anchor charts and different resources will be posted. So thank you for taking a look. If you ever have any questions about ELA or anything at all, please feel free to reach out. Have a great night.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching this presentation. My name is Andy Geronis, and I am the 5th grade math teacher here on the Cheetah team. I graduated from York High School in 1994. I've lived here in town all my life. I grew up down on Beacon Street. I'm one of the Groves of Groves Cottages, now Iduna condominiums. I graduated from the University of Maine at Farmington in 1998 and the University of Southern Maine in 2000 with a degree, a master's degree in teaching. I have been teaching here at York Middle School for 21 years. My career started in the 6th grade for a few years, and then the last 17 years have been here in 5th grade, and I have enjoyed every one of them. My entire family is here with me at the school right now. So my wife, Becky Geronis, is the other math teacher here in 5th grade on the Bobcat team. And I have 2 sons. Rhett is in 8th grade and Emerson is in 6th grade. And it is awesome to have everybody here every day and to never not see them and to spend 24 hours a day with your family. Who could ask for more, right? It is actually really fantastic. And then I have quite a few hobbies. I have a pretty big garden that's kind of weedy this year, but some years it looks pretty good. I enjoy running and reading. But recently I've picked up music. I've never played an instrument my whole life. I'm 45. I've never even thought of myself as anything close to somebody who could play anything other than the radio. And then this summer, for whatever reason, I picked up my son's recorder, much to my wife's chagrin, and I started playing it. I enjoyed it. So I started playing it more and more. And it turns out I played it every day since the first day of summer vacation, and mostly like Celtic folk, traditional folk music, Irish jigs and reels and hornpipes and whatnot. And I love it. I relax to it by playing every night, and it's fun. And that's my newest hobby. I can even read a little bit of sheet music now, which is pretty cool. So it's never too late to try something new, I guess. Let me talk to you a little bit about our math curriculum here. Let me get myself out of the way. So here in 5th grade at the middle school, we use everyday math as our math curriculum, just like Cress, and I believe VES as well. So in terms of the form and content and structure of lessons, our 5th grade Cheetahs should be very familiar with how things work. The one big difference, I think, is that we don't have math every day. We're on the waterfall, so we have math 4 days a week. And our classes aren't the full 60 to 75 minutes. Instead, we have 50-minute classes. So we don't get quite as much done, and we don't move at quite the same pace. I have here a list. There's 8 units in everyday math, and that's a real stretch to get through all 8. They're pretty big units. A lot of the lessons are multiple day lessons. So I try every year. Some years we get pretty close. Last year, of course, with COVID, we couldn't with the hybrid model. But this year, hopefully, we'll get through at least the first 6 units. And really, the goal is all 8. And we will do our best to get there. So in everyday math for 5th grade, we spend a tremendous amount of time working with computation, so multi-digit multiplication and division. And students learn 2 ways to do both, traditional multiplication and long division, but they also learn partial products and partial quotients. And we spend a lot of time with fractions. So we learn how to do all 4 computations with fractions. We learn addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. We compare fractions, we order fractions, we find equivalent fractions. We count fractions with decimals. We do quite a bit of decimal work as well. And there is some geometry in fifth grade math as well. We learn a lot about three-dimensional geometry. So we learn the names of three-dimensional figures, how to find volume of both pyramids and of prisms. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. The other major endeavor we take part in here in fifth grade math is reflex math. We master our math facts. Some students use reflex math for their multiplication and division facts. Other students use it for their addition and subtraction facts. And then when they get those, they move on to multiplication and division. But we want all students leaving fifth grade really fluent. And that means memorized and fast, knowing their math facts. And so reflex math is going to be an almost daily math assignment in addition to the home link that's part of everyday math. I'll ask students to complete 4 green lights. That's 4 complete sessions of reflex math a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So please make sure your students are doing that. You could check in on that. Of course, I'll be checking in. And if I see a student kind of getting away from that habit, I'll hopefully let you know in fairly short order. And then I want to talk a little bit about grades. You can find your child's math grades on a daily basis in Google Classroom, because I want kids to see those grades. Students are never stuck with the grade they have. They can always revise their work with or without my help or your help to bring their grades up. Progressings become meets can become exceeds. But the formative assessments, the unit chapter tests, those will also be found in PowerSchool and used to generate report cards. That's a little bit about math. Let me know if you have any questions. Email me if you'd like. I'm open all the time to communication. You can't communicate too much. And now it's time for Susie Young.
Hi, everybody. This is Susie Young. I am the Cheetah Team Social Studies teacher. Happy to say that I'm here to talk to you a little bit tonight about myself and a little bit about what I do here at YMS. I graduated from St. Joseph's College a long time ago, and then I got my Master's of Arts degree from Lesley University, and that was in 2010. It is actually in literacy. I do have a minor in biology. I've been teaching for 32 years, so I probably have had some of the parents that are out there or cousins, or I've had a slew of kiddos in York, and I'm very proud of that because this is a great place to live and a great place for me to stay. I've taught all subjects. I bring that up because I can help your kiddos with everyday math, with science, with language arts. My favorite, of course, is language arts and social studies put together, but now I've been down to just social studies, which I absolutely love. I do have some hobbies. I love to read. I love to garden. I love to travel if it's not COVID. And I love flowers. I've been to flower camp a few times in Virginia. So our kiddos and I are going to study about 1789, about what it was like to develop and found the town of York. We are going on the field trips. Mrs. Ridley's class is going this coming Thursday and Friday, the 23rd and 24th. We do ask that kiddos dress up and bring a snack and a lunch, and we are still in need of volunteers. Just email your homeroom advisory person and ask if there's still room for us, because we'd love to have you come along. It's a very fun day. We will be talking about primary and secondary sources. We actually have been talking about that and how we become historians by looking at all of the clues and the sources we can from documents and artifacts and all sorts of things. We'll be comparing what life was like back in 1789 to what it's like now. And believe it or not, there's a lot of similarities. So that's the start of our year. We move into Native American studies. We'll be talking about the Native Americans of the United States by region and how they adapted to their environment. We'll also narrow it down to Maine and talk about the 5 tribes of Maine, which is under the big tribe of the Wabanaki. We will be tackling states and capitals with learning the locations, the capitals, the spelling, abbreviations. We'll be talking about the different regions and the famous landmarks of the different states. It's pretty fun, and the kids get excited about that. I get excited about it because I've been to a lot of places, and it's fun to show different pictures and different factoids about all of our really cool landmarks throughout the United States. There will be an opinion writing piece. There's more details to come. Mrs. Pagano and I will decide which topic to actually write about. It will either be about which state they'd like to visit or possibly which Native American tribe would like to, how they adapted the best to their environments. So with that, please feel free to contact me at any time. My email is syoung@yorkschools.org. I do have the phone number here, which is the classroom number. You can give me a call, shoot me an email. You can come on in if you'd like, and we can set up a meeting if you ever need to talk. But frankly, I'm here for you, and I hope that just so you know, I look forward to working with all of the kiddos. We've had a good first 3 weeks of school, and I look forward to this year. Next up on deck is Mr. Schumann with computer science details. Thank you. See you around town.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Nick Schumann, and I am the computer science teacher here at York Middle School. A little about me to get things started. I have, for education, I have a Bachelor of Arts in Sociology from the University of Southern Maine. Once I had finished that degree, I actually stuck around and went for a 5th year at USM to take advantage of their ETEP program. That allowed me to get my teacher certification in the state of Maine. In the course of my travels later on, I went back to school and got my master's in technology education from Lesley University. I am also a certified Google educator, level 1 and level 2, and I'm also a Google certified trainer. In fact, this month I got recertified for both Google educator level 2 and for my Google trainer credentials. Teaching experience, I started out teaching in Kennebunk at their middle school, teaching computer literacy to 6th graders. Our focus was pretty heavy on the Apple Mac environment in Kennebunk. And then later I transferred over here to York and started out teaching digital citizenship to grades 5 and 6 and helped with the transition to Chromebooks, which we have now. And a couple of years ago, I transitioned to teaching computer science to students in grades 5 and 6. For hobbies, photography, specifically digital photography, amateur. Gardening, that picked up a lot when I bought my first house just a couple of years ago. We have some raised beds and been really enjoying growing some of our own produce and then getting to enjoy and partake in that. In the warmer months, I like to do hiking around the state. And when the snow falls, I like to do cross-country skiing. I don't do downhill skiing because I've come to the realization that hills and we just don't get along. So I stick with cross-country skiing, and I can usually manage the hills with those trails. So that's a little about me. How about we take a little quick tour of my classroom, and then we'll come back and talk about curriculum. So this is my classroom. It used to be a computer lab back in the day, so we have plenty of power, which comes in handy when you're teaching a technology-themed course. When you come in, one of the first things that you will see is our learning targets, which I like to put up on this whiteboard. As you can see, we've been working on understanding some of the basic functions of the Google Classroom app and how to do different tasks within Google Classroom to make our lives a little bit easier. We constantly refer to these learning targets each day in class, and we reference back to them to use them as our guide or target to make sure that we're staying on track. We have a couple of visuals also that relating to computer science topics that will come up later on in the course. I am very fortunate that I was able to get a Jamboard in my classroom this year, which we use to take notes and doing some brainstorming on, or whenever the moment moves us to take notes and kind of jot down what we've been thinking. And then on this whiteboard down here is where I put what our HOWLS target is, We try to pick a HOWLS target that we will focus on each week to, again, guide our behavior. And then we have our HOWLS board here, which lists all of our HOWLS for respect, responsibility, and perseverance. This is the front of the classroom, and we have a TV where I tend to project my lessons and use slide decks possibly to guide us along the way, kind of like an outline, put up examples. I can have a cable here that I can plug in too, but that also means that students could plug in their Chromebooks if we want to do a show and tell type of activity. And then we have a lot of inspirational posters relating to computer science, as well as being good digital citizens about photography, for example. And you can see my desk over here. We just have some more Google things. There is some Star Trek things around here. I am a diehard Trekkie. We had a good conversation about this. We were getting to know each other at the beginning of the year. I'm also a Star Wars fan, and we talked about how there's room in the world to like both science fiction worlds, if you could say. So that is my classroom for computer science. When it comes to the computer science curriculum, we start off with focusing on the Chromebooks, because the Chromebooks are going to be one of the critical tools that students will be asked to use, not just in computer science, but across all of their courses and classes. And I want them to be comfortable and familiar with some of the basic functions so that they can be successful, again, not just in computer science class, but in all of their classes, in whatever tasks their teachers ask them to complete with these wonderful devices that we have. We will then transition into computer science specific topics and that of the problem solving process. And even though I said it's computer science specific, one of the reasons why I love the problem solving process is because it doesn't apply just to computer science. They can use this process in any course or class they take. It can even be used out there in the real world too, which is why I think it's so awesome. I really enjoy teaching them about this process and how it can be used. It's broken down into 4 steps or 4 parts. Define what the problem or the task is that needs to be done. Prepare, brainstorm some ideas on how we could complete that task or solve that problem. Try, let's pick one of those brainstorming strategies and try it out and see what happens. And then reflect. How'd it go? Great, good, so-so, not so good. And then why do we think that? And then that will determine what part of the process we may need to go back to in order to make changes and improvements along the way. And we will use the problem-solving process as our foundation and build on that as we move forward. We will then look at how computers work so we can have an understanding of how a computer can assist us in completing tasks, specifically writing code. And we'll look at that as another 4 steps: input, storage, processing, and output. And we will use these terms, again, as we continue to move forward in computer science. Once we have those 2 foundations, we'll then move into actually learning how to code using block coding. And what tools we use can vary. I've been using code.org and their resources a lot in the past, but I've also been looking into other resources as well, to see how we can keep things interesting and bring some variety. So that includes things like Google's CS First, which partners with Scratch to create some really great interactive coding activities. I found 2 that I really like that I would like to do this year with students, including Code and Upstander Superhero, which will connect us to digital citizenship and, really importantly, our HOWLS. And then also the animated name project, which I'm really excited about because that kind of leans itself towards art, which will be their allied art in the next quarter. And so there will be an opportunity there for students to continue with this coding project even after they leave me and move on to art with Mrs. Merrill. So that's the computer science curriculum. And at this point, we're about ready to wrap things up for this open house virtual session. I hope you have enjoyed this and gotten some valuable information from me, but also the other members of the Cheetah team. And we really thank you for your time to watch this video. If you have any questions, we encourage you to reach out to us via email with your questions, concerns, or anything like that so that we can communicate back with you and just make this a really wonderful year for our students.